All right, guys, let's get started on today's work. So today, our goal is to be able to identify a text structure and analyze why the author chose that structure. So what is that text structure that you see? Compare and contrast, problem solution, uh, cause and effect, all of those that we know that you've been looking at since third grade. Which ones is the author using? Analyze means why are they using that? And then by the end of the day, I want you to also be able to say, yes, they did a good job and it accomplished its purpose, or no, I think they could have made a better choice as an author. So I want you to be able to identify the text structure, explain why the author used it, and then judge how the text structure helped the reader, if it helped the reader. So I'm going to go ahead and get you. You should have your screen split. So this should be up. Your assignment should be up on one side. And on the other side, you should have this video pulled up so that you can watch what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. We are right here. And as we read, we're going to be filling in this chart. So I'm going to fill in the first part with you, and then I'm going to have you fill in the rest of it by yourself. So I've got my text up right here. And you don't need to have that up. I'll be showing it to you on my side of the screen, and then we'll be able to write together and you'll be able to see the video. So here we go. Let's start our text. This is the setting sun in the rolling world. This is the same text you've already been working with, and we're continuing that trip on analyzing a text. How can we add understanding the author's purpose of the text structures they chose into our analysis of this text? Let's start with paragraph 1, and let me show you what I mean. Old Musoni raised his dusty eyes from his hoe and the unchanging stony earth he had been tilling and peered into the sky. All right, your brain should be asking itself, what text structure am I seeing? Does the sentence have a cause and effect structure? Does the paragraph have a compare and contrast structure? What structure am I seeing? The white speck whose sound had disturbed his work and thoughts was far out at the edge of the yellow sky near the horizon. Then it disappeared quickly over the southern rim of the sky, and he shook his head. He looked to the west. Soon the sun would go down. He looked over the sun-blasted land and saw the shadows creeping east, blearier and taller with every moment that the sun shed each of its rays. Unconsciously wishing for rain and relief, he bent down again to his work and did not see his son, Namo, approaching. So I want you to go back and look at this language as you're asking yourself, what text structure is this author using? Look, he raised his dusty eyes. Okay, well, notice what word he uses. His eyes are dusty. And he raises his eyes from his hoe and the unchanging stony earth that he had been tilling and peered into the sky. What is this guy doing? Old Musoni. He's a farmer, right? Okay. What text structure do you see this author using to help you see the farm? I'm going to give you 10 seconds. If you're working with a team, turn and talk. 10 seconds. If you're by yourself, stop and think. What text structure am I seeing in this first paragraph? 10. He's using description. Description is when a paragraph is filled with imagery because the author just wants you to see the picture. He wants you to see that this farm is dusty and dry. He wants you to see that the farmer is looking over the sun-blasted land and seeing the shadows creeping east, blearier and taller with every moment that the sun shed each of its rays. It's hot and it's dry and it's dusty. He's wishing for rain and relief. Does this look like a picture of a prosperous farm? Or does this look like a picture of a farm that's dry and dying? All right, we're going to come back here. Notice that we've got this broken down into the Father's words and thoughts, the Son's words and thoughts, and text structure and author's purpose. So we're going to start here because that's the Father. Is he speaking or thinking? And this one, he's thinking. So I'm going to say this is a thought. And what is the Father thinking? He's thinking about how he wants rain on his dry farm. Now we got to ask ourselves, why is the author starting with description? Why description? Well, he's starting with description so that you, the reader, can see the farm. What you know from this text, because you've read it before, is the farm is what's coming in between father and son. So we need to see that farm. We need to see what the problem is. And instead of just saying, once upon a time, there was a farmer who had a farm. The farm was dying. The author uses description so that you can see the dry, dusty farm, see it dying, see the father sweating, how hard he's worked to keep it alive, and then better understand what's happening between the father and the son. So let's go back and keep reading. Again, we're looking for what's the structure that's being used. Namo crouched in the dust near his father and greeted him. The old man half raised his back, leaning against his toe, and said what had been bothering him all day long. You haven't changed your mind? No, father. There was a moment of silence. Old Musoni scraped earth off his hoe. Have you thought about this, son? For weeks, father. And you think that's the only way? There is no other way. Pause. This is how the author sets up this text. This is his structure. Stop, take 10 seconds. I want you to just think. What text structure do you see? All right. Pause the video if you're in live class, and I want you to stop and talk. What text structure do you see? Then when you're done talking, unpause and we'll continue. If you're by yourself, we're going to continue going. I'm going to give them a couple minutes to pause. All right, guys, if you're virtual and by yourself, and now let's go ahead and continue this conversation. So this text structure is set up with father and son talking back and forth, right? You got the dad talking and the son talking. So then you ask yourself, okay, so it's set up in dialogue where two people are talking. And then there's also these moments where they're thinking, and we get to see the thoughts behind their talking. So we have the dad thinking and talking and the son thinking and talking. Is there a pattern to how their talking goes? Are they getting along? Are they arguing? What's happening? And the pattern you see is conflict. It's contrast, because we have the father arguing for one thing and the son arguing for another. So we have dialogue between two characters that's showing contrast. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to go under my text structure and I'm going to say dialogue that shows contrast. We also have those thoughts that help us understand the dialogue, but that also shows contrast. We see what the father's thinking and the son's thinking. So dialogue that shows contrast is the text structure that is being used. All right. So then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say, what's the father saying? Because this time he's saying it and he's questioning his son. And over here, what's the son saying? Because he's saying it. He is standing up for his beliefs. He's saying, no, father, this is what I believe. This is what I think is right. It's what has to happen. So we have this contrast between father and son. Let's keep going. The old man felt himself getting angry again. All right, here we go. Notice no quotations were in his thoughts. Notice the length. The quotations are very short. We see the short sentences versus the long thoughts. So why is the author doing long thoughts versus short sentences? Maybe because the long thoughts have more information and the short sentences don't reveal everything. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to go, what is text structure is he using? The author's using long thoughts, paragraphs of thoughts versus short sentences of dialogue. And then we would be able to talk about, why is he doing that? What's the purpose of long sentences of thought and short sentences of dialogue? What's that showing us? The old man felt himself getting angry again, but this would be the last day he would talk to his son. If his son was going away, he must not be angry. It would be equal to a curse. He himself had taken chances before in his own time, but he felt too much of a father. He had worked and slaved for his family, and the land had not betrayed him. He saw nothing now but disaster and death for his son out there in the world. Lions had long since vanished, but he knew of worse animals of prey, animals that wore redder claws than the lions, beasts that would not have an unprotected, homeless boy alone. He thought of the white metal bird and he felt remorse. So let's go back. What is the father thinking? Pause. If you're live, I want you to turn and talk to each other. If you're virtual, I want you to take 10 seconds to look back at this. What is the father thinking about his son? Pause. All right. So he's thinking he used to take chances. Here he says it. He used to take chances. If he used to take chances, what's his son about to do? Take a chance. But now he's too worried. He feels like a father. He saw nothing but disaster and death for his son out there in the world. What does the son want to do? He wants to go out in the world. What does the father see? Death and disaster. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go under what my father is thinking. And he's thinking if his son leaves, he will face death and disaster. And I have text evidence to back that up. Now I'm going to come back to the text. I'm going to continue reading. From thoughts to short words, short sentences. Think again. You will end dead. Think again of us, of your family. We have a home, poor though it is, but can you take a day you have gone with, can you think of a day you have gone without? I have thought everything over, Father. I am convinced this is the only way out. There is no only way out in the world except the way of the land, the way of the family. The land is overworked and gives nothing now, Father, and the family is almost broken up. Okay, pause right there. Let's go back. What is the son saying in our back and forth contrast? Or what is the father saying? The father is saying, you can depend on land and family. And what is the son saying? He's saying, our family is gone and our land is dead. I can't depend on either one if they're gone and dead. So you see that conflict, that contrast in the dialogue between how they're thinking. All right, that's the last one I'm going to give you. Here's what we're going to do from now on. I'm going to read a section, then I'm going to have you pause the video. As you pause the video, I want you to fill out the rest of that chart. If you are live and in person, I want you to turn and talk to your team and fill out the rest of that chart together. So here we go. Picking up with line 15. The old man got angry. Yes, the land is useless. True, the family tree is uprooted and it dries in the sun. True, many things are happening that haven't happened before that we did not think would happen ever. But nothing is more certain to hold you together than the land and a home, a family. And where do you think you are going, a mere beardless kid with the milk not yet dry on your baby nose? What do you think you will do in the great treacherous world where men twice your age have gone and returned with their backs broken, if they returned at all? What do you know of life? What do you know of the false honeybird that leads you the whole day through the forest to a snake's nest? But all he said was, look, what have you asked me and I have denied you? What did I have I not given you for the asking? Pause the video, fill out what did the father think, what did the father say? When you're done, unpause. Okay, let's keep going. All you have given me, all, Father. And here too the son felt hampered, patronized, and his pent up fury rolled through him. It showed in his face, but stayed under control. You have given me damn all and nothing. You have sent me to school and told me the importance of education, and now you ask me to throw it on the rubbish heap and scrape for a living on this tired, cold shell of the moon. You ask me to forget it and muck around in this slow dance of death with you. I have this one chance of making my own life, once in all eternity, and now you are jealous. You are afraid of your own death. It is, after all, your own death. I shall be around a while yet. I will make my way home if a home is what I need. I am armed more than you think and wiser than you can dream of. But all he said too was, really, Father, have no fear for me. I will be all right. Give me this chance. Release me from all obligations and pray for me. Pause there. Go back. What did the son think? What did the son say? When you're done, unpause the video and we'll pick back up. Okay, guys, before we go any further, I just want to go back and show you something that's important. It's not what we're talking about today, but it's important in this text. Notice here how the thought spurs his words. So his internal motivation, his thinking, spurs his words, his external motivation. Then his words, the father's words, spur the son's response, external motivation to external response. But the son's words are then backed up by his own internal motivation. He thinks about what the father has said and it makes him think. So see how this flows with characters? This is how character-driven fiction and literary nonfiction and drama flows. They think something, which makes them say or do something. Because that character says or does something, another character says or does something, and then thinks something in response. And that thinking leads to more actions and words that move the plot forward. That's how an author moves that story. All right, let's keep going. There was a spark in the old man's eyes at these words of his son, but just as dust quickly settles over a glittering pebble revealed by the hoe, so a murkiness hid the gleam in the old man's eye. Words are handles made to the smith's fancy and are liable to break under stress. There are too much fat on the hard, unbreaking sinews of life. Do you know what you're doing, son? Yes. Do you know what you will be after the day you leave home? Yes, father. A homeless, nameless vagabond living on dust and rats' droppings, living on thank yous, sleeping up a tree or down a ditch, and the rain and the sun and the cold with nobody to see you, nobody to talk to, nobody at all to tell your dreams to. The father is thinking this. Do you know what it is to see your hopes come crashing down like an old house out of season and your dreams turning to ash and dung without a tang of salt in your skull? Do you know what it is to live without a single hope of ever seeing good in your own lifetime? And to himself, do you know, young, bright, ambitious son of my loins, the ruins of time and the pains of old age? Do you know how to live beyond a dream, a hope, a faith? Have you seen black despair, my son? His father is scared. So I think I said that wrong. Notice he's saying this part. This is the most that the father says. He expresses this fear of what it's going to be like for his kid to live away from home. But his real fear, right here, what's his real fear? I know it, Father. I know enough to start on. The rest I shall learn as I go on. Maybe I shall learn to come back. Pause the video. Go back. Fill out your chart. What did the father think and say? What did the son say in response? When you get done, unpause the video and come back. Again, I hope that you guys in live groups are turning and talking. The old man looked at him and felt, come back where? Nobody comes back to ruins. You will go on, son. Something you don't know will drive you on along deserted plains, past ruins and more ruins, on and on until there is only ruin left, yourself. You will break down without tears, son. You are human too. Learn to the Haya, the rainbird, and heed its warning of coming storm. Plow no more, it says. And what happens if the storm catches you far, far out on the treeless plain? What then, my son? But he was tired. They had taken over 2 months discussing all this, going over the same ground like animals at a drinking place until, like animals, they had driven the water far deep into the stony earth, until they had sapped all the blood out of life and turned it into a grim skeleton. And now they were creating a stampede on the dust, groveling for water. Mere thoughts, mere words. And what are words? Trying to grow a fruit tree in the wilderness. Pause. Go ahead and fill out your final one. What were the father's thoughts? And we're going to stop at line 27. Then when you're done, unpause and rejoin me. All right. So you should have your father's words and thoughts filled out with several things beyond what we wrote together. You should have son's words and thoughts filled out. We've talked about the author's text structure. So he started with this description, why, so that readers can see the farm. Then he moves to this dialogue of contrast. He moves to these long thoughts that back up short sentences. And what is the purpose? I want you to turn and I want you to talk to your people. If you're alone, I want you to stop and think. Why did the author present it this way? What does he want his reader to see from this conflict? What does he want them to see from this contrast? All right. I'm not going to give you the answer to this one. I want to see what the best thing is that you can put in your box. So you continue filling out this box. Give us the big right here. Give us the big why. Why did the author say this? Okay. All right. And then once you filled out that box, you're going to come back and right here in your after read, you have your exit ticket that you can do on your own. And I will see you guys again soon. I hope you do well and have a great day.